today we are starting part 1 of my Slowing Down with an Art Routine series. I am so excited to start this series. It's more so a journey that I am starting right now. I hinted at this in previous videos, but I really want to create a solid art routine in my day-to-day and my daily routine so that I can actually find the time, make the time, and prioritize something that is really important to me, something that brings me a lot of joy. And so I'm turning it into a series because, like I said, it is a journey, and I think I want to go about this. I want to approach this in small, tangible steps, something that I talk about a lot and suggest to all of you in my Slow Living series videos. And so, yeah, part 1, this video is going to be a lot of planning. We're gonna create a plan together for this art routine. So let me just backtrack a little bit and talk about what this art routine is. Where did this come from? Why am I doing this? What does that practically look like? So first of all, this came to me because I have really been slacking when it comes to my art and spending time practicing my art throughout this entire year. I know hobbies was a really important priority for me this year, and I've definitely succeeded in many ways, but not so much with art type of things. And that's unfortunate. I feel like if you know anything about being an artist, you know that you can fall off track with that so quickly, and then jumping back into it, getting back on track can feel pretty much impossible, and that's where I've been for a really long time this year. And so I need to do something. I need to take action to get back into the swing of things and create a routine that helps me stick with it for a long period of time, if not from this point going forward, if that makes sense. So that's where the idea of creating a routine has basically formed. And in this video, I want to really come up with a routine, a tangible routine that I can do every single day that allows me to practice art every single day. I think that's going to be really important for consistency and making sure that I do something on the daily that doesn't feel hard to reach. And I think the same goes for any slow living routine or any morning routine, evening routine, things like that. It starts with one simple practice, and I always tell you guys that starting very small and starting very basic is the perfect way to just get your step in to that routine. And then once you start to get comfortable with it after a few months, I would say about 2 to 3 months, that really starts to feel like a routine and it becomes easier, and then you can build from there. So all of that being said, all of that context being said, that is what we are setting up in this part 1 of the series. And then as time goes on, I will share my progress with you, share that journey with you, and it will be part of this series. I hope you're excited. I am very excited to implement a new series onto the channel, especially one that's art focused, because I love art. I've talked about it so many times. I've already talked about it in the intro, but I love art. I want to practice art. I want to get better. I want to improve, and I want to stick to the projects that I say that I want to work on. I feel like I've talked about so many projects with you, and I didn't really execute any of them this year. So I'm hoping that I can soon eventually execute those things that I wanted to. Okay, so I think I'm going to start things off by doing a little bit of research, and I think I'm gonna lean on social media for this one. I personally get super inspired by fellow creators, and when I see them doing certain things, practicing certain routines, or actually doing art, it inspires me to want to actually do it as well. So I spend about 15 minutes a day at the very minimum scrolling on different forms of social media. So I'll put some sort of screen recording on the screen right now so that you can see the research that I'm doing. I actually did the research before I'm talking to you right now, so that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. I went on Instagram, and I more so go on Instagram to see final results, if that makes sense. So what an art piece would already look like once an artist has implemented a daily art routine, or they're consistently practicing their art, or they have an art business, something like that. I feel like that is where I go to Instagram for, because we all know that Instagram is a lot more aesthetic and curated in comparison to some other social media platforms. And so I love that element. I love seeing the end result. I'm super inspired by people who share those end results, but I think TikTok is actually where I'm going to be able to find step-by-step routines and a process and sort of like a tutorial, if you will, through other artists' day in the lives or morning routines, evening routines, or actually literally art routines. So you'll see that I actually typed in daily art routine or art morning routine, something like that in TikTok. And people are posting just that, which is extremely helpful to practically see how people are practicing art on the daily. That's not meant for a consumer, that's not meant to be part of their business. It's just meant for them to practice and get better and improve and just simply do art because they are artists and they love creating art, and they also are trying to maintain a routine that keeps them consistent. So this research is really, really important for me, not just to figure out how I should go about this routine that I'm talking about, but also to get really inspired and motivated to get started. And I am very, very motivated to get started. I'm so excited. Okay, so after I did all of this research, and I think TikTok was the most helpful for me here, I think what I'm going to do is extend my morning routine. Practically speaking, if I look at my day-to-day, I know for a fact that once it hits late morning to, for the next 4 or so hours, I get so immersed into my workday, my 9 to 5 workday, that there is just no time for me to stop, pause, and do something creative in the midst of that. It's really hard for my brain to switch on and off between those things. And I feel like I've tried this before and it just doesn't work. So practically speaking, that means I can only do this art routine in the morning or in the evening. And to be honest, after a full day of work and content creating and all of that stuff, I know myself enough to know that I will probably neglect it if I do it in the evening. Sometimes in the evening, I just want to rot on the couch or watch TV or just scroll mindlessly. And I think I deserve that for being such a productive person. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. So I am reserving my evening for that type of activity, and that just leaves the morning. So it's not really an unfortunate thing because I already have a morning routine, and that's one routine that I really am strict with. But it's just that I need to extend it in a way, and I already have a set amount of time that I spend for my morning routine. Some navigating just needs to be done there. And I'm thinking I also don't want to sacrifice on the sleep that I give up, that I already give up for my morning routine. So I'm thinking I just need to be a little bit more strict and on point with my timing when it comes to my morning routine. That gives me a little less fluff to be as slow as I sometimes can be, but I think it's okay because I think implementing an art routine into my morning routine is going to only benefit me. So if I'm picking up the pace just a tad bit more, I think it's worth it. So I think that's the plan. Okay, the next thing is materials. So I'm trying to keep this as basic as I possibly can, again, for accessibility and practicality. I don't want to make things too intensive, and it kind of deters me in that sense from actually picking up my art materials. So starting with this, I talked about this in my birthday video, like my little birthday haul. I gifted this to myself. It was a big investment, even though it's a tiny little thing, but this is just a journal that has a bunch of mini journals in it. I got it from Paper Republic, and in the very back, I have this little drawing book here. So I am hoping, long story short, I'm hoping that this is going to be my go-to book for everything: planning, bullet journaling, daily scheduling, all of that good stuff, and also drawing. So that's why I'm going with this as my main art material. And like I said, this is a drawing book in the back, and I'm hoping to do daily sketches in here. Every single day, I would like to do some sketching. As you can see, I've already started, but because I'm hoping that this is going to be my go-to journal for everything, it's going to be with me at all times. It's also very accessible because I'm going to be using it often, and it's also small, so I could throw it into my bag. I'm hoping to actually use this as my main vessel, my main tool for my daily art routine, and then just a simple tool here, a pencil. I'm not even going to use an eraser. I'm just going to use a pencil. I'm really starting from the basics here, even though you all know that I do painting and art and all of those other things, watercolor, blah, blah, blah. But I want to keep it basic. I want to keep it simple. So we're just using a pencil, nothing else. However, if there comes a time where I get some extra time in the morning, even if I have like a day off or something like that, I will start implementing color using this set right here. This is the gouache that I also got for my birthday from a dear friend of mine, and it's sort of like a tabletop kind of gouache set because it's big, it's heavy, and I truly cannot travel with this because it will become an absolute mess. But this is the gouache set, and I think it's a really fantastic tabletop set that I can just set it here and it's always there, it's always available for me to use. And I love that because in a sense that is accessible instead of me having to go find all of the art palettes or paint palettes that I have tucked away in my closet and stuff. So that is the setup in terms of materials. Once again, simple is better in this situation. Okay, and then the last thing is just nurturing my artist side. So of course I can do the research, I can get inspired by going on social media, and I can have this art routine that's very productive and to the point and practical, but at the same time, I need to feel inspired in a way that is consistent in terms of longevity. And in order to do that, and I've kind of learned this through bits and pieces that I've done in the artist's way, which I have not finished, I really want to finish it, it's to nurture my artist side. And in order to do that, I need to indulge in experiences, doing certain things that continuously fuel and inspire my artist side. And there's just so many examples. So some examples that I have written down. One is keeping a log of inspirations. So I'm actually going to show you my Notion board that I created for this little creative endeavor, this artist endeavor that I'm going on. And it's very simple. I did this on purpose because you all know Notion is all for productivity and I'm trying not to be super tactical. So I kept this loose and just a very general hub for creativity that allows me to keep a log of artist inspiration. So somewhere on this Notion board, I'm going to plug in certain things that I experience or inspires me on a given day and I want to go back to it and do something artistically with it. I'm going to put it all in here. Sort of like a brain dump for art projects, if that makes sense. Another thing I want to do is spend more time in Google Arts and Culture. This is an app, and I'll show it on the screen, but this is an app that I've talked about in the past, and I have a widget for this on my home screen, but to be honest, I haven't clicked into it as often, and I feel like I should be clicking into it as often as I do when I click into social media and I browse on social media for artist inspiration. This is another hub, if not fantastic hub for artist inspiration. It's literally arts and culture. So I feel like I should be spending at least 10 to 15 minutes a day browsing, looking at least one piece in there and fueling my creativity through that as well. Traditional art is something that's really inspiring to me. I love going to museums and looking at traditional art. Like paintings and stuff. So Google Arts and Culture is a really accessible way for me to do that as well as yourself. And speaking of museums and me loving museums, I want to visit more museums. I live in New Jersey. I am so close to New York. There are museums in New Jersey and in New York. I feel like I am really privileged to have access to fantastic museums and I should really take advantage of that. I want to make that a thing. On the weekend when I have free time and we're like, what should we do today? I want to be able to say, let's go to a museum, even if that means getting like a museum pass, not a pass, what is it? Like a membership. It's an incentive for me to go back to the museum time and time again if I am, paying for a membership. So that's something I definitely want to look into and you will see in future videos that's part of this series. Studying art, not just through Google Arts and Culture, but I do have some art books around my house and perhaps I will get some more art books in the future, we'll see. But I want to look at the art pieces, read through the text in these art books that I have and learn, because learning is also part of nurturing that side and feeling creative because you're learning about the process of the other artists that you're reading about, stuff like that. And I think that's all of the ideas that I have for now, but I think that's plenty to go off from. And once I get into this routine of nurturing that artist side of me, I think it will be something that I do on a weekly basis or maybe bi-weekly basis. I don't know, we'll see. I know that ends up being time consuming if I did it on a weekly basis, but we shall see, especially as we head into cooler seasons and I'm not necessarily out and about in nature, which is actually inspiring to me as well, but that will also be a good motivator for me to go to a museum where it's nice and warm and I can browse around the galleries and stuff. Okay, so a lot of chit-chatting in this video and a lot of screen sharing and all of that good stuff, but Like I said, this is the whole planning process. This is the brainstorming session that we're having together. And we started with some research. We decided on a plan. I figured out my materials, and I've also figured out ways that I can continue to nurture this artist side, this artist journey that I'm on as I continue to do more videos and indulge in this hobby that I really, really love and I want to focus on really a lot more than I have been lately. I hope this is inspiring for you if you are a fellow artist, but if not, I hope it's also inspiring for you to nurture a side of you that you feel like you've neglected for a long time, whether it's a very simple hobby or multiple hobbies or whatever it may be. But we can implement things in our life. We have control of what we spend our time doing and what routines we have in our life that nurture those things and encourage and promote those things. So I hope this is a good reminder that you can do that and you should do that. Let me know if you have any specifics that come to mind when you were listening or watching this video that you kind of want to nurture more of. Maybe we can be on this journey together, even if it's not the same exact journey, but you can take concepts from it and go from there. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I meant to do this video weeks ago, and that's why it's more so me telling you what's going on as opposed to us physically going through the process together, because I actually did this process a couple weeks ago. Things happened in my personal life and it just turned everything upside down and I wasn't able to sit down and film. So I apologize that we weren't able to do it as interactively as I wanted to, but thank you so much for your concerns and checking in with me over the past couple of weeks as I've hinted that there have been some life changes. That does not go unnoticed. I appreciate that so much, and I don't know, that just makes me so happy that you all, you know, care about what's going on in my life. I really appreciate that. But thank you once again for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you in the next video.